Hello, my name's Caleb. Basically just want to kind of go through the basics of drumming, just beginner stuff, nothing too complicated, just the basic rock groove. Just want to kind of give you a background of myself, how I started drumming. Pretty much started when I was in 7th grade. I joined the band in our middle school, and I had no experience up till then. Did nothing with music ever. I played piano. About 2 years before I got into middle school. I never understood anything about drums or never even thought about it. I liked them, and my whole life I knew I had a gift with music, but I had no teaching or anything. So pretty much got to the middle school, went into the band room, and the instructor asked me, what do you play? I said piano, and it was a concert band, so he's like, well, we don't really need piano. Okay, well, I don't play anything else. So he said, okay, fine, you're in percussion. I was like, what is that? And he said, you play the drums. I was like, okay, cool, that works for me. I could say clarinet, I wouldn't have known the difference. So I knew what drums were, that was fine. But when I got there, I really didn't understand the rhythms. It was elementary stuff, but like I said, I had no music background other than piano, and piano is very musical. When I say that, it's not so much rhythmic. There's not a lot of rhythms, and it's a lot more open to interpretation than drums are. So that the rhythms were not hashed into my brain like they should have been in order for me to just be able to play drums. So my instructor was busy. There was one instructor, so he was not really able to take the time to actually help me. So I just kind of learned it on the fly. And luckily, one of my friends took me under his wing. He'd been drumming since he was like 5 or 6. He'd been drumming for a while, and so he knew it. And he's very good. He's very, very talented, and he taught me basically. And so I was able to catch on because of him. And then I saw him playing drum set one day. That was he'd been playing drum sets since he was like 5 or 6, and I was like, man, that's cool. I want to do that. So. I started looking around and bought a OSP drum set for like $200, and it came with cymbals and everything. And it was a little piece of crap, but it was something for me to bang on and kind of iron out some rhythms. And so I didn't think about it then at the time, going to look for videos on YouTube to teach me how to drum. But when I started getting, when I get bored now, whatever, I'll just check out videos. And one thing, you know how it is on YouTube, things will lead to another, and you start kind of looking at stuff that's totally different. But I started kind of looking at really elementary stuff, and I realized that there's no videos that really explain why the rhythms are doing what they're doing, and how the bass drum part and the basic rock groove will fit in with the snare part and the hi-hat part, and why you hit the bass on 1 and 3, and why you hit the snare on 2 and 4. It doesn't explain that. It just says, this is this, so play this. And that works, I guess, when you're learning the basics, but really sets you up for failure in the future, because if you plan on going anywhere with music, sticking with drumming, at some point you're going to have to understand time signatures and quarter notes and half notes and eighth notes and 16th notes. You're going to have to understand all that and how that fits together to make more complicated grooves and to understand more complicated grooves so you can learn. So basically, what I'm going to do today, like I said earlier, the basic rock groove. It's just 1 and 3 on the bass drum and 2 and 4 on the snare drum. What I mean by that is, just take the music for today for example. You have LMFAO, Kesha, Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, all the poppy kind of stuff that's out today. It all has that. People joke about fist pumping, and the party boy that people do, and that make that bass noise with their throat, and then it's just got that tempo. It's driving. You can feel it, fist pumping. That's called the tempo, and what they're doing is they just put some kind of bass effect on every beat and measure. And if you realize, the music will kind of reset itself. In music, there's called a measure. It's written out. You have the staff of music, which is, if you ever look at a sheet of music, there will be 5 lines and 4 spaces. And one measure is one of those little brackets. You'll see they're set off in brackets, and that's one measure. And what they're doing is they put 4 beats in that measure. And that's what we call 4/4 time signature. Now the time signature, if you're looking at a sheet of music, all the way in the left, the first measure, sometimes it's not in every measure, but all the way to the left of the page, well, it's never in any measure, in all the measures, but in the first measure of the page, there will definitely be 2 numbers on top of each other, or one number on top of another one, and sometimes you'll have 7 8 9 8 5 4 1 4 2 3. I mean, there's tons of different time signatures, and the one that you hear in all the music today, some old AC/DC stuff, Aerosmith, a lot of the older stuff is 4/4. There will be 1 4 over another 4, and so what that means is that there are, in one measure, and in one of those little bracketed segments, there will be 4 beats, not 4 notes, but 4 beats. That's what caught me, was I'd be trying to read music, and I'm like, but there's 18 notes in here. How is that? I thought they all got the same amount of space in the measure, so that threw me off. But there will be 4 beats, so there will be 1 2 3 4 in one measure. How you cut that up is what we call the notes or the rhythms. So when you stomp your foot and you're counting to 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, there will be 4 of those in one measure. That rhythm that we're doing, just stomping our foot to the tempo, is what we call a quarter note. And how you notate that is you have a little stem and then a little bubble at the end connected to it, and it's colored in. So if you're looking at a 4/4 measure, there will be 4 of those written through the measure. You can't have any less than that. You can't have any more than that. If you have a less, if you have 3 of those written in a 4/4 measure, you have to put a rest in there. You have to take up 4 beats of space, I guess. Now, that's like the main rhythm that we're gonna have to worry about when you see, conductors conducting or whatever. They have 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. That's they're conducting 4/4. They're conducting all those quarter notes, and even when the notes are different, when the rhythms are different, they're still going to conduct that tempo. So just so you know how the rhythms will relate with what the instructor's doing, or the conductor's doing. So the main rhythms we're going to have to worry about is a quarter note. We already know the quarter note, and I'm going to explain it with actually playing, so you don't just kind of have to imagine what it's going to sound like. So we have a quarter note. Then the next thing we're going to worry about is a half note. Half note is almost the same as a quarter note in appearance. It has a stem and a little bubble, but it's not colored in. And what that does is it divides, or I don't know, I guess it multiplies the, I don't know, I forget the math. It's 2 quarter notes. So you have 2 quarter notes equal 1 half note. So if you have 4 quarter notes, you're only going to have 2 half notes in one measure of 4/4. So you have 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. That's the bass part. For a basic rock groove, that is the bass part. You have 1 2 3 4. Every time my hands clap, that's the bass drum part. 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. So if you see a conductor, just imagine this in your head. If you see a conductor conducting like this, he's going 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. Every time my hand goes down, every time my hand goes to the right, you're going to hit the bass. So 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. That's the basic rock groove. This is part of it. Let's see, so that you have a quarter note and a half note. Next, well, I have to tell you the snare part first so I can get ahead of myself. Snare part is when you're counting 1 2 3 4. Your tempo's there, 1 2 3 4. Every 2 and 4 you hit the snare drum. So you have 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. So when you put it together, I'm going to play it so you can hear it. You put it together, you can kind of start to hear there's a groove. So I'm going to put the tempo on, or show you the tempo. So it's 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2, ready, go. you notice, if you were counting through the time I was playing, it's just 4 beats split up between the bass drum and the snare drum. So you have 1 there, 2 here, 3 there, 4 here. So when you break it up, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that. So if you're counting, I'm going to try to throw some more theory in there at you. If you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, every time I play, I'm playing 4 measures of 4, 4. So if you're looking at music and there's one little bracket, you see there's 4 quarter notes in one of those brackets, I'm going to play that 4 times. In a lot of music today, you can kind of hear how that's structured. A lot of the pop music, it'll kind of reset after 4 measures of 4, 4. You know, so you hear drummers, they'll play a groove, do 4 measures, and then every 4 measures they'll hit a cymbal crash, and you'll feel when you start playing, you get the groove down. It just feels natural because that's how all our music is. That's ingrained in our heads. So you'll kind of feel every 4 measures, the music kind of resets itself. If you start playing, you know, if you know somebody plays guitar or you dabble in bass or any kind of melodic instrument, you'll kind of see how the music will reset after 4 measures too. It's just how it falls. So we have 1, 3, 1, 3, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the basic groove. That's what those will do the entire time. Really good example of this is like, I don't know if you know No Doubt. It's Gwen Stefani's old band. Everybody knows. Underneath It All, it's kind of like a Rasta reggae sort of song. Everybody knows that song, I'm pretty sure. If you haven't, don't check out that song. That was just an example of one of their songs. But check out, oh goodness, I forgot the song, of course. Well, I can't remember the song. Dang it. Well, check out Billie Jean by Michael Jackson. That's a good one. You'll hear just bass, snare, bass, snare. And the other thing you'll hear that I'm about to talk about is the hi-hat. But yeah, if you want to hear that in a song, check those out because those are the clearest. You know, you have, I think of Billie Jean, I think it's a 4 measure. He does it for 4 measures and then the music comes in. Like I said before, it kind of resets itself. So he will play it for 4 measures and then it comes in, the music will come in. The bass part comes in, do 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 do, you know, all that. So, you know, check that out if you want to. But the next part, this is a little more complicated. We have quarter notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have a half note, which is 1 beat slower. Not slower. That's probably confusing. We have that's worth 2 quarter notes. So there will be 2 of those measures. So if the tempo's here, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a half note. So that's half note. Now what an eighth note is we're going to take the quarter note and divide it in half. So for every quarter note, there's going to be 2 beats. So how that's going to sound is, if the tempo's here, 1, 2, 3, 4, every time I click my sticks, there's going to be 2 notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's an eighth note. So you're going to play that on the hi-hat while playing 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just going to show you how that sounds. I'm going to see if I can break it down some more, think of some other ways to play it. But yeah, I'm just going to play that for you real quick, show you how it sounds. So the tempo is going to be here. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Try to think about where the eighth note's going to be if the tempo is here. This is the eighth note. Alright. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. So, I hope that makes sense. So we're just taking tempos here. We're just going to play double that on the eighth note, on the hi-hat. So I really don't know how to break it down much more than that. But, so, think of it like this. Another way, kind of a more grandiose way of thinking about it, is, so there's going to be 8 eighth notes in a measure of 4/4, because there's 2 for every quarter note, and there's 4 quarter notes. So 2 times 4 is 8. So there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It might help you to accent every beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, and just do what we call accent tap. So you accent the downbeat. So every 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to hit an accent, bring the stick up, and every and of the beat, which is the off beat, so you're going to tap. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and it might help you to do that. It might not. It's a good chalk burner. It's a good workout, good exercise to do, especially like on a pillow or something. If you're trying to build up some muscle strength, if you're trying to play fast stuff, you know, like Blink-182 or maybe some Yellowcard, something fast. You really have to have muscle to be able to do that quick. But yeah, I'm not saying worry about that right now. That's not an issue right now. Just worry about getting the groove. But yeah, if you get that and you're like, okay, cool, got it. Really work on accent tap. Just do it slow, get to where you're comfortable with it, and the muscles know what to do. Make sure you really tap, just barely tap that eighth note, accent the first note, and that makes it sound fatter too when you're playing. That just sounds cooler. I'm actually going to play it for you right now, let you see what I'm talking about. I think it sounds cooler, maybe not. A lot of the older generations of playing, they didn't have, they didn't think of accent tap. They just, every note was the same height, same volume, and it kind of gets monotonous. It's just like in your face every time. But if you hit it every downbeat, it gives you that sense of tempo with a little chink in there. It makes it sound like it's grooving a little harder. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So both of these are eighth notes on the hi-hat. So if your tempo's here, I'm just going. And both versions of this I'm going to play are both that, but the second one I'm going to go. I'm going to tap the eighth note. So this is what it's going to sound like. Tempo's here. Think about where the eighth note is. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. Alright, so that was obviously the pattern where you don't do the accent tap on the hi-hat. You're just, every note's the same height, same volume. Now this is the version where I do accent tap, where the eighth notes are just tapped out in a much quieter volume, lower stick height than the downbeats. So here's that. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. So that's that. I think that sounds better. You can really hear that in that No Doubt song that I forgot the name of. If you ever want to just go check out No Doubt, you'll find it's a pretty popular song. Hella Good, that's what it's called, Hella Good. You'll recognize it the second the drums come in. But yeah, that's kind of like just a real groovy way of playing something that's really just elementary. But it's, it works, and it's a really good groove to know. If you're going to go anywhere with music, you really need to get that down. That's not the only style. There's a whole bunch of different styles of playing. There's Latin, there's jazz, there's blues. It's endless. There's so many different things you can do, and jazz does not sound like that. Latin does not sound like that. You can have a 4/4 measure, it's still the same time signature, but the notes are split up completely different than just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and it's very different. So that's not the only thing there is to learn, but that's that really teaches you, the right foot and right hand independence. So, what I mean by that is the right foot is able to not do what the right hand does. That tends to get people a lot. Tends to be something pretty challenging. Whatever the right hand does, is right foot likes to do it. So, you have to break that. You have to split that in your mind. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to play Latin or anything else. And some of the fills you do in rock music and all that stuff is going to be hard to do if you don't have the independence between your right foot and right hand. So yeah, that's why I like to start everybody on rock drumming, just because it's the easiest to learn. It's the funnest to learn. It's easier to feel where the beat is, and once you play that, you can pretty much play any rock song. It may not be too extravagant, but you'll be able to play along with a lot of your favorite music. So yeah, there's one more thing I want to show you, talk about. Don't want you to really worry about it right now, but if you get this and you're working on accent tap and you can do that where it sounds good, and you're like, okay, what's next? There's what we call 16th notes, and that is further dividing the quarter note. So we took the quarter note and divided it into an eighth note. Now we're going to take the eighth note, divide it into a 16th note. So you have, here's the tempo. So the eighth note, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the eighth note will be here. Right? Now we're going to take that eighth note and split it in half. So it's going to sound like this. Eighth note's here, 16th note here. So I hope that makes sense. How we count that is 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. So 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1. So if you notice, there's an and in there. 1 E and a, 2 E and a. So if you take out the E's and the U's, you're going to play 16th and take out the right hand. So I'm going to play on this rim here. I hope it's not too pingy for this mic. Pretty low quality. But I'm going to play 16ths. I'm going to play a measure of 16ths. So there's going to be 4 16th notes, or 4 sets of 16th notes, because for every 1 quarter note, you play 4 16th notes. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to play 4, 8, 15, 4, 8, 12, 16 notes total. Then I'm going to take out the left hand, tell me what it sounds like. So the tempo's here. So when we play 16ths, we have 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1. So now I'm going to take out the E of it, which is going to fall on the left hand, because you just play 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1. I'm going to take out the left hand on the E's and the U's. So I'm going to play 1 measure of 16ths, and then I'm going to take out the left hand, tell me what it sounds like. So here's this. So tempo's here. This is a measure of 16ths. Again. So those 16th notes. I'm going to take out the left hand. Without the left hand. So what is that? Tempo's here. What does that sound like? That's all it is. You're just adding, every time you have a space between this, you're adding a little left hand thing. So it just sounds like. That's all it is. So this was a real popular style of playing, just straight 16th notes. Back in when there was a lot of funk, Motown stuff, it was a lot of. It was real popular. It sounds groovy. So I'm just going to kind of show you, like I said before, I don't want you to really worry about this until you get the rock groove, an accent tap, and it's no problem for you. Okay, what's next? Try 16th notes, try messing around with those a little bit. So here's what it sounds like. Still 1 and 3 and 2 and 4 on the snare, I'm still going. Still doing that, I'm just adding right there. So tempo's here. 1, 2, 3, go. And then, so that's just set straight, like I said before, how in like the 80s and stuff, they would play eighth notes, which is just, they play it all at the same volume. You do that with 16ths, again, it's kind of monotonous in your face, it's just like, that's really annoying. So what you like to do is play accent tap in 16ths, so your right hand's just going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and playing an accent on the every 1, 2, 3, and 4, and every eighth note's going to be little taps, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Then every left hand, the E and the 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and and the 16ths is going to be down as well. So the only thing you're really going to just hear that's pronounced from the hi-hat is the beat. So you're going to go. So I'm going to show you what that sounds like. So think about where the 16ths are. First divide into eighth notes, so eighth notes. Now think about the 16ths. Alright, here's a groove. 1, 2, 3, go. I don't know, I think that sounds better than kind of in your face. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. You know, I hope I haven't thrown too much at you. I hope I've explained it. You know, that's pretty much as good as I know how. It'd be a lot easier if I was actually with you, but it's not going to happen. So I hope this video has done enough to explain it to you, so that you can take off, do your own thing. Drumming is really fun. It may be discouraging, it may be annoying. Trying to get the biggest problem I bet you're going to have is the right hand and the right foot are going to try to do the same thing. Got to break that. Once you get it, it's amazing. I mean, it's like this huge. You never want to leave the drum set, because then you can do a whole bunch of stuff, and you're going to start feeling, where you can throw beats and start messing around with stuff, and then you're going to start working with fills, and it gets really fun really fast once you get that right hand, left hand, right hand, right foot independency. So yeah, I hope you don't get discouraged. And I hope that this video has done enough to help you, learn how to play drums. So, alright, well, I'm going to have a couple more videos up in the near future about, maybe some more complicated topics, maybe some other beginner things. Probably just moving grooves around the drum set, kind of the different sounds you can get. Just some basic stuff, nothing too complicated. So yeah, check me out. My name's Caleb Hooper. And be able to check that out in the video for the tags. But yeah, like I said, have fun and keep on drumming.